According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, 1 in 6 children between the ages of 6 and 14 are diagnosed with a mental health condition. Nearly half of all mental health conditions begin by the age of 14, and over 75% of mental health disorders develop by the time someone is in their mid-20s. In 2019, the Center for Disease Control compiled anonymous responses from middle and high school students for their Youth Risk Behavior Survey. The survey results revealed that 36% of high school students reported feeling sad or hopeless. 15% reported having made a plan to attempt suicide, and 8% reported having attempted suicide. In 2020, the CDC moved suicide to the second leading cause of death for children ages 10 to 14, and the third leading cause of death for young people 15 to 19. We have a mental health crisis emerging in our youth, and we need to do something about it. Students who experience mental illness often receive treatment at school because their mental health significantly impacts their ability to learn. It is extremely difficult to focus on learning when you're feeling hopeless. Support at school may look like individual or group counseling, where students learn to manage their mental health and develop healthy coping skills. Or it could look like grief or crisis counseling, where students are provided support to process traumatic events like the loss of a teacher or a friend. And even though our ability to manage our mental health is essential for learning, mental wellness and academic success are often viewed as separate components within the education system. In reality, they're intertwined, each relying on the other. And when we talk about mental health in schools, we are not just talking about diagnosable disorders like anxiety or depression. Mental health lies on a continuum, from mental wellness to significant mental illness. And students need support at each point on that continuum. For young people, their mental health impacts their ability to build meaningful friendships and relationships, benefit from academic instruction, or attend school at all. And while we've seen a significant increase in mental health awareness for young people, that message that mental health is essential for learning is often met with, yes, but schools should focus on academic content. What's often viewed as a yes, but is really an opportunity to say yes, and. As a school psychologist, I am passionate about helping young people balance their mental wellness and academic success. A passion that's been fostered by my own experiences at school, one that many students, and maybe some of you, can relate to even today. I graduated high school with a 2.01 GPA. I knew exactly what tests to pass and what grades I needed in each class to do just enough to walk across that stage. It was not uncommon for me to come into class with no homework in hand, to have a well-meaning teacher point out my wasted potential. What my teachers and I didn't realize, or certainly never acknowledged, was that my perfectionism and my anxiety-induced imposter syndrome were significantly impacting my ability to do well academically. I did just enough to graduate, but not enough to reveal myself as the intellectual fraud I believed that I was. It was much easier to be wasted potential than to have anyone realize I had no potential at all. We want to imagine schools as safe and supportive places for students. In reality, they can be very stressful. We know that low levels of stress are good, pushing us to get things done, especially if we're deadline motivated. But high levels of stress can impact our ability to focus, learn, and make good decisions. Experiencing ongoing stress physically changes our brain, shifting energy from problem solving and planning to survival and impulsivity. And when that shift occurs, we are less able to sustain attention and learn new skills. And we're more likely to experience difficulty managing our emotional responses, our social interactions, And we may respond to situations in ways that we normally wouldn't if we could just get a break from that stress. In my experience, students often report school as a significant source of stress in their lives. And for some of our youngest students, they're experiencing this stress before they even know what stress is. According to a recent report by the US Department of Education, over 2 million students receive services for specific learning disability each year, with the most common being reading disabilities. Learning disabilities can be extremely stressful for students. Our youngest students may not understand why they aren't learning as quickly as their peers. They can develop a negative self-concept, believing that their learning difficulties mean that they are dumb or less valuable than their friends. In fact, research suggests that people who've been identified as having a learning disability as a child are more likely to experience anxiety and depression as adults. And our students who've been held back or retained a grade are at an increased risk for social, emotional, and behavioral difficulties and dropping out of school. In fact, grade retention is the single most stable predictor of dropout rates. And these rates increase for students who've been retained more than once or are from underprivileged or marginalized communities. But it's not just our students who struggle who need help. Gifted, talented, and high-achieving students experience their own mental health needs. These students are more likely to experience intense pressures to excel. These pressures, whether from internal or external sources, can lead to excessive perfectionism, distorted perceptions of their own skills and abilities, and an extreme internal pressure to live up to unrealistic expectations. Gifted and talented students are more likely to internalize their abilities, believing that their academic successes or failures are personal or intrinsic attributes. When they feel satisfied and successful at school, they're more likely to feel motivated and experience mental wellness. But when they are less satisfied, they can lose that motivation and develop a sense of learned helplessness that can lead to academic underachievement or failure. But these outcomes are not inevitabilities. These outcomes are not predetermined. These outcomes can change with the protective power of supportive relationships and environments. Young people are resilient. The sooner they get help, whether academically or emotionally, the more likely they are to bounce back and experience success. This means it's essential for us to identify the unique social, emotional, and learning needs of students to ensure they get meaningful mental health and academic support. So what do? We have to start by acknowledging that there are no simple solutions to complex problems. We need adults who are experts in the links between mental health and academic achievement, working with students and influencing systems. This means school psychologists, school counselors, school social workers, and other school-based mental health professionals who understand how to integrate social, emotional, and mental health development with academic content. We can train and work with parents, teachers, administrators, and community members on the importance of mental health and academic achievement and provide them the tools they need to support students. We can empower and elevate student voices. We need student voices and diverse perspectives at the table when educational decisions are being made. We need to listen when young people tell us that they are overwhelmed, either academically or emotionally, and we need to do something about it. We can hear student experiences and explore student-led solutions in all of the places where young people are. Just like we teach reading, math, and science, we can provide direct instruction in social, emotional, and mental health for all children, kindergarten through college. We can use our collective voices to advocate to keep social, emotional, and mental health instruction and support in our schools and communities. We can build relationships through support. This means identifying academic and social emotional needs early and providing interventions, continuing those interventions to ensure students develop the skills they need to learn and experience success. This means that while we are working to identify academic gaps, we are aware of any social and emotional gaps that may be emerging or widening, and we work to fill those too. It means not only focusing on areas where students struggle, but identifying areas where they are strong and building up those skills. We can create safe and supportive environments for students. If someone is struggling academically or emotionally, they need to know where to go to get help and feel empowered to go there. It is as important to get help through counseling as it is to get help through tutoring. Young people are often hesitant to reach out for academic support, which can lead to increased and ongoing stress. The same is true for counseling. And what many don't realize is that in most cases, both tutoring and counseling are temporary support needs, and neither require someone to be in extreme distress to get help. We are facing a mental health crisis in our schools and communities. And while counseling is important, it is not enough. We cannot just focus on the students. We have to critically examine our social and educational systems that are fueling the flames of this crisis. We can reflect on our own experiences and motivations to ensure we are integrating social, emotional, mental health development with our academic visions and hopes for the future. Not to build a bridge between them, but to create a path infused with both that lead our students to success. Understanding the links between mental health and academic achievement, committing to creating safe environments that empower students, and committing to innovating systems with mental wellness in mind gives us the ability to shift from yes but to yes and. A shift that could change the lives of countless young people. I graduated high school with a 2.01, and I went on to pursue my undergraduate degree, and this time I tried a little harder. But a major change came for me when a professor sat me down and said, "You know you're really good at this, right?" And in that moment, I became more than wasted potential. That simple phrase created a space where it was safe for me to face the insecurities that had been holding me back. And I can only imagine the difference it could have made, or might make for others, to hear that message sooner. Thank you.